what my budget does is to put forward some tough choices, some significant spending cuts, so that by the middle of this decade, our annual spending will match our annual revenues. We will not be adding more to the national debt.
That is fantastic. Our spending will match our revenues. That is great. And all you have to do is go to President Obama's budget, page 171, to see him tell the truth. Here are the receipts. These are the things, our revenues, and these outlays are our spending. Receipts, outlays. What we take in, what we put out. All right, here's our deficit here. Woo, bad one. And 1.6. And then 1.1. Ooh, 2013, we're not to the middle of the decade yet. 768. 2014, 645 in deficit. Well, okay, here's the middle of the decade. We're still $607 billion away from that. Here's what we're taking in, and here's what we're spending. This should be zero, and these two should match. Well, you must have meant 2016. No, it's actually going up here. 2017, no, it's down from the year before, but okay, 2018, 2019, 2020. Oh boy, it's getting bad again. 2021. Mr. President, I mean, I could be missing something, or maybe you're just, what's that old-fashioned word? Lying. Which is it? It's deficits every year through 2020. Now, his explanation for this obvious discrepancy was, well, I'm not counting the interest on the debt. Oh, I know. Here, I thought we were being honest. Oh, my goodness. That is so great. Isn't it great where you can just not count an entire category? But even if you do that, still deficit every single year. He also promised to cut $1 trillion over the next 10 years. Whew. That is an average of $100 billion every year. That is 2 Joe Biden high-speed trains. Whoa! That's California's pension losses. That's insanity. In the scope of the entire budget, that's nothing. We're spending $3.7 trillion this year. And our national debt now has grown bigger than our economy. Every dollar spent on clothes, advertising, food, services, airplanes, products, slap shops, jails, roads, you name it, it's now equal to our debt. And we haven't even begun sending the money to the states to bail out their union pension funds. And that's coming, my friends. If that wasn't good enough news for you, well, Glenn, I can't believe your show. There's some happy news. Yeah, I know. Wait, there's more. Obama's budget also projects that the interest on our debt as a percentage of GDP will triple to an all-time high of $554 billion by the middle of the decade. Yeah, let me show it to you. Let me show you. Okay, here's the interest in 2010. Our interest was 1.3% of our GDP. This means all the money that we spend and make in the United States. Okay, here it is. Now let's look what happens with our budget. Uh-oh. Red is bad. It must be like the golf thing. Now he's confused because now he's like, high score wins? No, Mr. President, low score wins. Here's what it means. If your salary stayed the same, actually the government says it's going to go up. We'll be lucky if our salary stays the same. But your credit card interest goes up. That means the percentage of your credit card interest is growing a bigger portion of your salary that you have to pay. And this is just the interest to keep the loan sharks at bay. You're not paying the credit card off. You're not getting anything new. You're just paying the interest on that debt. And we haven't even talked about the rising interest rate yet. Here's a spooky scenario for you. Do you think the way we're spending is going to make us the next industrial leader, and we're just going to be we're going to be crapping fluorescent light bulbs from here until eternity, and the world's going to wash them off and use them because they're like, these are American fluorescent light bulbs, these are great. Or do you think the way we're running our country is going to put us in the, I don't know, maybe the position of not the world leader in invention or manufacturing? Yeah, you'll have to decide on that. Now, if you think it's a decline, our revenue, our GDP goes down. Now, next question. Will our low-level interest rates stay low for the next 10 years? China is just like, I can't get enough of investing in America. Any sane person says, no, I don't think they're going to last this low. The amount, the interest payment, if it goes up and our percentage of income just stays flat, what happens? You either default or you need to make more money. Oh yeah, hey, we could get a third job. Wouldn't that be great? And we could have a 70% income tax. Oh, this is going to work out well. Let me explain it one more time, a different way. You remember a few months ago when the government was out there talking about those villain credit card companies charging people too high of an interest rate. Many Americans had become saddled with too much debt and they were defaulting more frequently. And of course, Barney Frank stepped in and said, we got to force those credit card companies to do something about it. Yeah. So they made sure that they weren't having our rates raised. Well, there's no one in this scenario to step in and bail us out. No, not even Super Barney can do it. It's time we put the scalpel away and get out the machete. Because Washington is clearly not getting the message that you sent. Because you said in Washington, you wanted to decrease the debt, taxes, and spending. I'd use an axe or a machete or a flamethrower if I have to, because everything has to be cut. But let me explain. This is what you said. Now, who are you to tell Washington? Well, let me show you how it works. This is the way our country works. This is the way everything works. There's a guy who's in his garage and has an idea. He says, hey, I know, we could build a company and we can sell all kinds of software crap and people will buy it like crazy, but it's going to take money. What do? We convince people to buy shares in our company because we need their money. So the shareholders send their money to the company because this guy, number one, has a good idea. Got it? That's how companies work. Let's just change the company to the country and change Bill Gates to this idea master. Got it? What he's doing is he's saying, I've got a good idea to run your company because the last guy sucked. Great. So the shareholders got rid of the last guy and like this guy's ideas. But this guy not doing what you, the shareholders, told him to do. What do? The first thing you do is you remember this. I know it says number one here, but remember, it's employee number one. You, the shareholder, are the boss. You're the boss. Fire the employees that aren't doing the job. You got to cut. And people are saying, oh, well, we can't cut health care. We can't cut Social Security. We can't cut defense. We got to cut all of it, gang. All of it. Let's try defense, because that's my favorite. Defense. Will it make the world more stable or less stable? Let me ask you this. Will it make your products more expensive or less expensive? Let me take the case of the Suez Canal. Everybody's talking about Egypt. Let's look at this. This is the Suez Canal right here. Okay? Here is Egypt. Goes right through Egypt. Right now, we get our oil from Saudi Arabia or wherever, and the oil goes through the Suez Canal, right through here, through the Mediterranean, out the Strait of Gibraltar, to us, to England, and over here to Europe, and over here to England. Got it? Now, let's just say that things become increasingly chaotic in the Middle East. I know, it had never happened. Freedom and democracy has taken root. If things, crazy talk, got a little crazier, could the Suez Canal be shut down? Yes. Then what happens? You have to, if it's here, you have to go and take those tankers all the way here and go to Europe and England or here to the United States. Don't worry, that only means going over, around Africa is only an extra 10 to 15 days. Oh, and one extra little added bonus, they get to travel right past this little country here. Yeah, that's Somalia. Remember, the place famous for the pirates? You think your price is going to go up or down? You see, the rest of the world used to have pirates running rampant all over the oceans. But thanks to us, that threat has been reduced to places like Somalia. If we cut defense, which we will have to do, and there's not a lot of sea protection against these dirt bags, what do you think happens to global trade? If we keep heading down the path, the unsustainable path, and only play politics, if we don't abort and get off this path quickly, we're not going to have people to fight the Somali pirates. You're not going to be able to have health care. Hell, you're not even going to be able to have slap chops because they ain't going to be $19.99 anymore, even if you do act now. Why? Because we're losing value in the dollar. Back in a minute.